Okay, today we're going to do 7-4. Oh, I'm going to turn the pen on. 7-4. And these are properties of logarithms. So I'll just say log properties. So we have three main properties that we use for logarithms. This is going to help us if we need to solve equations with logs later on. And then I'm going to show you how to evaluate the logarithm using your calculators. We have three properties and then how to do that in the calculator. All right. So a lot of times we have multiple logs that are either added or subtracted, and we want to combine them into one logarithm. So that's what we call condensing something. We go from a larger to a smaller, and then occasionally we want to go from small to big. So with that we say expand. So you'll see those two words, condense and expand, a lot for your examples and things. All right. So here are our first three properties. The first one is our power property. So if you've got log, let's say base b of x plus log base b of y, that's the same thing. You can take these two logarithms and make it into one. Log base b of x times y. Because when you're doing logarithms, it's actually talking about the exponent and the power. So we have the two powers here. When we add powers together, if you're thinking about exponent properties, that's the same thing as like when you're multiplying. So like if I had x squared and x cubed, we would add those powers together, which is x to the fifth. So you're essentially multiplying the numbers together, but what that relates to with your exponents is your exponents get added together. So when you're adding your exponents together, it's like you're multiplying the numbers together. All right. So when you see a plus sign in between two logarithms, that changes into one log, and the two numbers that you take the log of are multiplied. Okay. So that's our first property. I guess we could do one example. So if I had something like log base 2 of 5 plus log base 2 of 7. That's the same thing as log base 2 of what is 5 times 7? 35. So you just multiply those two numbers together. Okay. If you have a variable and a coefficient, you would just, like if this was an x, it would just be 5x there. All right. Our second property. This next one is very similar. So if I have log base b of x minus log base b of y, when you think about subtracting and your exponents, that's when you would have divided. So that's the same as log base b of x over y. Okay. So to take this from two logarithms into one, if there's a minus sign in between, it turns it into a dividing problem. So that's if we would condense it. You can also go backwards. So if you see a fraction like this and you want to spread it to two logarithms, you would spread it out and have a minus sign in between them. We'll do one example. Log base 6 of 7 minus log base 6 of x. That's going to be log base 6 of 7 over x. Okay. So dividing and subtracting go together, multiplying and adding go together in log world. Our third property is my most favorite property. This is the power property. So this says that if you have log base b of x, like to the y, so you have an exponent here, so you have what you're taking the log of, and then that's raised to a power. This power just can get shoved down into the front. It's kind of neat. So it can just jump into the front. So that's the same as y times log base b of x. And that's like if you're raising a power to a power and you would multiply it, because that just represents one exponent, and this is also another exponent. So when you raise the power to a power, you multiply by those two. Okay, so one quick example of that. Maybe, we'll see. I lost my pen. It's gonna show up in a second. I'm gonna mess everything up. Okay, coming back. There we go. So here's a real quick one. If I had log base 2 of 4 to the third, that's the same thing as 3 log base 2 of 4. So that 3 should just come down in the front. And also if you see a number in the front, it could just hop back up to the other side. Okay, so let's put a couple of these together so we can have more than just one of the properties going at once, and we'll see how we can expand and also condense. So we'll expand first. Let's say I had log base 4 of a squared times b. Okay, so we have a time. So if we're going to expand this, we know this times is going to turn into a plus. So this is log base 4 of a squared plus log base 4 of b. So the times turns into a plus, and then we have a power. We don't want to keep our powers there, so we're going to shove that power in the front. So that's 2 log base 4 of a plus log base 4 of b, and that's it expanded. So times turns to plus, powers go in the front. We'll do one condensing problem, and then I'll show you how to put these in the calculator. Not these particular ones, but the ones from last time where you were evaluating them. Condense. So to condense, you've got multiple logs like this, like a string of logs, and you want to turn it into one. So let's say I had log base 7 of x plus 4 log base 7 of y plus 6 log base 7 of z. So if you notice, all the bases have to match. I don't think I've said that yet, but when you're doing this and you're condensing them together, or you make one logarithm, it all has to have the same base, or else you can't combine them. All right. So this looks like pluses are going to turn into times, and the numbers in the front have to turn into powers. So that's just going to jump up there, and that's going to jump up there. And then we'll have one logarithm, log base 7, and then we'll have x times y to the 4th times z to the 6th. So one log, these pluses turn into times, the powers go into the top. All right. And the very last thing, it's called change of base. That's the official name of it. But I just call it, how do you evaluate these if it's not a number that you're used to seeing? So I guess change of base is fewer words. So if I wanted to figure out something like log base 4 of 20, and remember we're looking for what power, 4 to what power gives you 20? Well, there's not a whole number or a fraction that we're used to seeing to get to 20. So what we have to do is we're going to write it in a different way, and you just put it like this in the calculator and it does it for you, because this is going to be a decimal, because 4 squared is 16 and 4 cubed is 64, so 20 is in between 2 and 3. The power is going to be between 2 and 3. So when we do this, we'll put it in the calculator. We say log 20 divided by log 4. Okay, so you just type that in just like that. Log 40 divided by log 4. Let me get my calculator. I'm not prepared. Log 20 divided by log 4, and I got 2.16, and that is our answer. Okay. If there's not a little base written by the log, it's an understood 10. Like there's an understood 10 there. We don't have to do it. The calculator just does it for log base 10. So if you don't see a log, that just means it's base 10. Okay. All right. Now I messed that up. So I think that's it for today. Yeah, do this and your problems and your CUDA. They're not very hard today. I don't think so, at least. But again, I say that all the time. But if you have questions, just let me know and I'll help you. Thank you. Bye.